Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, November 4th, 2024. That's right. One day to go for the big election to do all that stuff. Hope everybody has voted or early voted, let's say. Hope nobody has voted more than once. We don't want to have that happen again. And I hope nobody's great grandparents have voted in this election either. So, this is the live stream I do on Monday nights. If you're new to the live stream, we talk about mostly classic cars. And for that, my bracket, I say, is between 55 and about 79 or 80 is typically my bracket. Now, we can go away from that just a little bit if we need to, but that is the focus. And primarily, cars, I think, from the 60s and early 70s are even more than narrowed focus. As you know, if you follow me all on YouTube or Patreon or anywhere else, I work on Mustangs probably 90% of the time. And that has kind of been the default, I think. Years ago we had the body shop, and prior to that, I was doing work like this in this garage anyway. The person that I was a partner with in the body shop, I would work on the body stuff here, and he would paint them at his house, and then put them together, and then get them back to whichever customer we had. So I was already doing that stuff prior, and then we started the body shop and did that for several years. So I learned a lot about the collision industry, frame pulling, using paints, using fillers, all kinds of stuff, which is beneficial for what I do now. Since the body shop went away, I've been doing this stuff in my garage. Basically, I know they're on the little sign back there. It says since 2011. So technically, let's say 13 years. But I've been doing this stuff or stuff like this for years and years and years. This shop, we put it, me and Roger, he helped me build this. We put this up back in 94, I think it was. Something like that, 94, 95. And maybe it's 96. I don't remember exactly. Maybe it was 96. And so off and on between racing stock cars and rebuilding old Chevy trucks, because I used to do a lot of that. I was doing a lot with the old 67 to 72 Chevy trucks. I did several of those where I replaced all the rusted sheet metal and either handed it off to somebody else to paint, or my buddy would paint it and then go on from there. So I actually have done a lot of those trucks and that sort of thing. Basically, from my work of doing this, collision work and then restoration type stuff with the body shop, my niche, I guess, has become Mustangs. And that doesn't mean I don't work on other things. As you know, I've done work on the Camaros. I did the gasser front end on the 55 Chevy or 56 Chevy. I had a 55 Chevy. I've had a bunch of different stuff come in here and get worked on. So, but Mustangs tend to be my forte at this point. Now, if you've also been following along, you know that I'm working on the Cobra Jet project, and that is coming along pretty nicely. I've been taking care of some of the smaller items, like the headlight buckets over there. Those are finally ready for epoxy. I did body filler on the edge where there was some pitting and stuff like that. So I've cleaned those up. Those are ready for epoxy. And then the front valance, it was bashed in somewhat, and I reshaped that, got it as straight as I could, and then finished it out with filler. So the front valance is ready for the next round of high build. So I'm getting close to spraying some more paint, or primer I should say, pretty soon. And then once I get these other pieces taken care of and out of the way, I will be working more on the fenders. Now, one thing I want to point out with the headlight extensions or buckets over there, I did. I was pretty happy to find that they were in really great condition overall. So on those cars, all these Mustangs, they have a little tab on the front of the headlight extension that the valance bolts to. And a lot of times those get broken off. And so I've always been one that I thought, well, if that's broken off, there's not much you can do. And that's where I was. I didn't think about making a bracket or trying to put it together because it's pot metal. And from what I understood, you couldn't do anything with pot metal. However, I had an issue with one of those headlight buckets. There's a little square tab. In fact, I have it on this piece of tape right here that I've taped to my bench. So it has this little tab. Now, my research and hearing that Don has done the MIG Welding stuff, I bought some of that MIG Welding. So this just showed up today, and I haven't opened it yet, but this is from MIG. And I don't know if I need to open it or not, but basically it's some sort of alloy that melts at a lower temperature than the materials used to make the pot metal pieces. So I have not, as I said, I haven't even opened this. This just showed up like an hour ago, and I'm kind of interested in trying it, and I want to see what I can do to save those pieces. So this kit comes with these rods, MIG LLC. That's basically just like a piece of PVC, and it has a few of these rods, a couple different sizes. And again, from what I understand, this alloy melts, I think at 350. I can't remember exactly. And then looks like there's some flux in this little bottle here. So I'm going to fix that one tab or rebuild it one way or another and get it back together. So I'm looking forward to getting that. That'll be probably in the next video because I've been working on the video for these pieces anyway. So now that I have that here, I'm going to try to finish that and make it work. Okay. I think we're mostly caught up on the Cobra Jet project. And also, if you've been following, you know that I picked up a huge order from Dynacorn. And so all of that stuff is in waiting for the 68 Fastback project that is scheduled for next year. So there'll be a lot more on that later on. Okay, so let's see who's here tonight and get this thing going. I know I've already been talking, but that's okay. You're all caught up now. So first one in is Rick Stevenson. Oh, wait, my bell is defective. There we go. Thank you, Rick, for being here. He says, good evening, everyone. And Rick has supplied me with a fresh batch of coffee. So thank you for that, Rick. Appreciate you. Dave Tyson checking in. Good evening, all. Evening, Dave. First Dave sighting. Jerry's Garage, the Money Pit. Good evening from Middle Tennessee to all. Thumbs up for Barry. Thank you, Jerry. And Jerry and I have had a few conversations recently. He's got his, I want to say 65. I know it really doesn't matter, 65 or 6. And he's had some issues with the front frame. So we had some discussion about that, about what could be out of square. Hopefully he has resolved that. You know, these cars have had a rough life overall, and most of them. And there's been repairs done that may have not been done well, or who knows. There's a lot of things that can happen to these cars. So the end user is getting it, and you know, Jerry's trying to put this car back together and had some issues with it. So hopefully he's resolved that. I know it can be very frustrating to not have stuff line up correctly. So Terry Keithley, good rainy evening, Barry and all. Please hit the thumbs up and like for Barry. Thank you kindly. Terry, Betty, and the cats. Yeah, well, I'm glad you're getting some rain. We haven't had rain since the hurricane came through. I don't know how long ago that was, 3 or 4 weeks ago. So we could use some rain. I will say that. And Terry is saying to Jerry, go Buckeyes. Okay. Ed Cucharella, hello all. Hello, Ed. Glad you're here. Richard Vogel, good evening, Barry. It's great to be in your shop again. Well, thank you, Richard. I'm glad you're here. I saved you a seat. Oh, it's over here on the tractor. Black GTX, happy Monday, everyone. Glad you're here. Steve Reed, hello, Barry and everyone. Hope everyone had a great weekend, and everyone needs to put thumbs up for Barry. Thank you, Steve. And I want to say from Paducah, Kentucky. Got a thumbs up from Black GTX. Hindsight 6-7, Roger. Greetings from next door. Glad you're here, Raj. And Robert, the Infernal Craftsman, he put out a video recently, making progress on his car, so that's good to see. Evening all, it's still AC season here. Glad you're here, Robert. So yeah, he talked about some of the issues he's run into with these aftermarket panels and stuff on his car. So go check that out. Black GTX, we had our first snow already in Minnesota. Wow. Okay. Yeah. No thanks. No thank you. Robert says, was 80 today and very humid here, but easy to keep the shop cool in this weather. Yep. Jerry is checking in. Howdy, Barry. Howdy, all. Beautiful day here in Charlotte, North Carolina, visiting my daughter. Hope the stream goes well, too. Says Terry, that was a pretty good game. Go Bucks. Okay. Glad to hear, Jerry. Even if it's just briefly. Blind Luck Mechanic. I want to say Kevin, right? I want to say Kevin. Tell me if I'm wrong. Says, hi, Barry. Hi, all. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm cold in North Georgia, trying to make the push to finish this AJE front suspension. Nice. It's looking good from what I've seen. So, Rusty's Restoration. Hope everyone and Barry, hope all is well. Give a thumbs up for tonight. I like that 65. I have one just like it. Talking about the thumbnail I put up. Yeah, you should. You should have one just like that. David, checking in, the Bowler Hat guy. Hello all. Good evening, Barry. Good evening, David. Second Dave or David sighting. CJ, good evening all. It's been wet in Washington State. Nice to see the primer going on and the next build lining up. Yes, I agree. That's going to be interesting. All we're going to do to that car. It's going to be good. I can feel it. Bob Shoemaker, evening all from stormy, soggy Oklahoma. Might need a boat to get out. Ooh, that's not good. Aren't they calling for more tornadoes out there too? Not good. None of it's good. Stay safe. Marcus checking in. Hi from south of Houston. Also with the AC running. Well, glad you're here, Marcus. Dave Conville, good evening. Good evening, Dave. I think that's Dave number 3. Dwight Douglas, hello from Wet, Indiana. It looks like you have quite a project coming up. Yes. Yeah, the 68, it's a fastback, and we're going to be putting in lots of goodies, making it into an autocross car. So I'm trying to make sure I get everything lined up. Wow, I don't know if you hear that. That was a high RPM something running down the road. But I want to get everything lined up as much as I can to get the body put together. And then, of course, this custom suspension's going in, and it's getting a Coyote engine. So there will be modifications that need to take place for the firewall and the floor pan and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's gonna be a good project. I'm looking forward to it because I have an interest in autocross stuff anyway, and knowing that I'll probably never get a chance to do it, this helps me scratch that itch, and I can put this car together and know that this will work, but who knows? Maybe one day I can build my own, maybe. Faith Followers Customs, good evening to all from Nippy, East Alabama. Like, subscribe, and vote. Yes. C&J, on the Muggy Weld, is that a type of brazing? I can't say it's brazing as much as, how do I want to put it? It's almost like doing soldering. Like if you were to solder a fitting, doing plumbing work, it kind of mimics that. And from what I've seen in the video that I watched, you could either bond together broken pieces, or if it was feasible, you could kind of build the piece out of this stuff. Like if you made a form and if I wanted to make that tab and I could make a little form and around where I wanted it to go, I could pour that stuff in there and melt it to the pot metal and then drill a hole in it and grind it and all kinds of stuff. So it's I'm looking forward to trying this stuff out. So I guess brazing, soldering, it's kind of in that realm of this stuff. So good question. EJ McConaughey. Good evening, everyone from Carrollton, Georgia. Thanks for the interior shop recommendations, Barry. They are taking care of my seats. Awesome. Yeah, he had sent me a message the other day or a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't remember now. I get, as you know, I get all kinds of messages from people. Lots. Lots of messages. And I try to help out people when I can. If I have any insight or if I have, in this case, a recommendation. I had completely forgotten about that place, actually, because we used to use this shop when we had the body shop. And I really haven't had a reason to think about an interior shop anymore. So I kind of forgot about it. And I was talking to my wife because she used to help me at the body shop. She was, our secretary. And she remembered taking stuff over there to that place. And we both kind of came to the same answer at the same time and said, hey, that's the name of the shop. So good. I'm glad to hear that they're going to help you out. That's awesome. Steve Willett. Hey, Barry and gang. Hey, Steve. And Steve had some cool stuff. He posted some pictures recently on his Facebook page of his frame jig that he built. So that's going to be really cool when he starts. I mean, he's already piecing stuff on it. So it's kind of really cool to see that. Michael Pagliarini, evening all. What are you going to do for a Vintag on the 68 Fastback build? Well, the 68 Coupe is the donor for the project. So it's going to end up labeled as a 68 Coupe. And that's just the way it is. So we don't, there's no Fastback VIN code available, nothing that we could start with. So technically, if you're, lots of people are doing it where they're taking a coupe and turning it into a fastback. As long as you're upfront about that and you're not like trying to tell people that, hey, this is the VIN's going to tell you what it is. But if somebody's trying to say, hey, this is a fastback, and you go, whoa, wait a minute, this says it was a coupe, then you have to say, well, yeah, it was a coupe. So it's all up front. We're not trying to hide anything. But yeah, it's going to be the 68 on the lift up there is the donor car for the project. So good question. Jerry, on the 66, I am pulling the engine. I hope to be able to laser measure the squareness. I first thought it was the alignment of the core support, but now I'm not sure. Yeah. I mean, you really need to narrow it down. The thing is, on the core support on those cars, it's hard to get it in the wrong spot. And what I mean by that is the way these cars are pieced together, that core support is only going to fit the frame rails kind of one way, unless it's been modified in some form or fashion. So if something is off, it's usually both frame rails are pushed one way or the other. So I hope we can get that squared away, Jerry. Squared away. Yep. Little pun. Blind Luck. Kevin, all right, says, yes, Kevin, my wife has other names for me, though. Yeah, I think they all do. Rick Gain, what will your stopping point be at the 68 Fastback? How much of the car will you build? At this point, Rick, it's probably going to be very close to turnkey. I think that's the goal. This is a different type of project than the Cobra Jet. Now, I've said it before, the initial plan for me to do the Cobra Jet was to do all the sheet metal work, get it straight, basically put it in primer and hand it off. And then it would be built from there. And so, I'm going a step further by painting it, but I want to make it right for Tammy, his wife. So I'm going to paint it and do some of the trim work on the outside, but I'm not doing any of the interior. I'm not doing any of the drivetrain. And the reason for that is it becomes very complicated. So when you have a car like that Cobra Jet, and it came with a 428, right? It came with a C6 transmission. It had these brackets and these pieces and all these little things that are narrow it down to a 428 style, right? Well, there's kind of some problems with coming up with all the pieces and parts. So I know that they've got some issues with the engine, but all the stuff that has to be attached and put it together to make it into what can be as close to the original car as we can, just is going to be very difficult, in my opinion. And I'm not going to continue to wait for parts or have to scrounge for stuff. So it just doesn't work for me to want to to do any of that stuff. Whereas the 68 project is a full custom build basically, so that makes it easier for me in a sense, because I'm not having to worry about having this special piece for the Cobra Jet or this whatever, all the stuff that connects to that. So with the custom build, the doors are more open and allows for a lot of interaction or change of direction if need be. So good question, Rick. Steve started welding the floor assembly using SEM Weld 3 primer. I'm having a hard time getting the MIG settings right. Well, that will, I don't know what, I can't really offer you much help right now. It is tricky sometimes to get those settings just right, but it also depends on your experience with the welder. And there's a lot to it. I know for me, it's kind of like when I raced, Roger can tell you when I raced and we'd go out racing on a track and I would just drive the car doing whatever it took to make it do what I wanted. And Roger would ask me, so what's it doing? Is it loose? Is it tight? I'm like, I don't know. All I'm doing is adjusting my driving to the car to make it go wherever I want it to go. And so we had to, had those kind of discussions. So when it comes to like welding, it's hard for me to point at something and go, you got to do this or you do that, because a lot of times I adjust on the fly, maybe even just with my technique, how I'm holding it or where I'm aiming or whatever, my speed, how long I stay on the part. There's a lot of things that I do that are my own sort of tribal knowledge as to what I can get away with without having to go over there and play with a bunch of things. I mean, I do that when I need to, but so yeah, it's really hard to say, hey, just do this and it'll be okay. So a lot of it is experience. Robert, I don't use weld through primer anywhere that is welded. It causes porosity and spatter in my opinion, is what IME. Yeah, I've talked about this before. I don't like to use weld through primer so much, but if I do, I'm going to bare the metal. That's another thing, Steve. If you have the locations where let's say you spray it in the weld through primer, I will more than likely still scratch up where the weld's going to go, so that I've got good contact with the metal. David Sweatman, hello Barry and all. Yes, very wet here in Indiana today. Just came in from the garage in time to catch the live. Awesome. I think it's our fourth Dave sighting. 68 Orange Crate. Hi Barry, I appreciate your correspondence on Patreon. I'm back to removing panels from the GT California Special. Trying to decide if I'm going to put it on a frame jig. Well, yeah, those are I mean, if you have one, I don't know. I mean, it can't hurt, right? But you have to have one to be able to do that. So, and depending on how far what you're doing, I know a lot of the stuff that I've done, like even the convertible project I did not have a frame jig. I didn't have one. So I just used my body cart as my frame jig in effect and added to that to make it happen. And it turned out really nice. So sometimes you may need a frame jig, other times you may not. Like the 65 Mustang Coupe that I did years ago, I didn't have a frame jig, and I built that thing hanging it off the rafters. And I put the floor pan underneath it, pushed it all together, welded it up. Car turned out great. So don't overthink it necessarily, but it's possible you may want to do that. But it really comes up to you on that decision. Faith followers, do you have pictures of the coupe project? I don't know if I have. Let me see if I have any pictures in my file right now. Um, I don't know that I have one specifically or any pictures of that car specifically. Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, I don't. I did a video on that car, um, the car itself. I think it was the one I put on there, $300 Mustang. I think it was, what do you get for $300? So that car is in that. That's what that car is. It's in that video, so you can look at that. Rusty has sent me a couple of pictures. So with that, I'm going to show you what he has sent me. And I believe this is the same car that's in the thumbnail that we have up. And in this message he sent me, I've got some paint on it now. It turns turquoise in the sun. So I like seeing all that room in the shop. I'm jealous. Let's see if there's another picture here. Yeah. Yeah, that looks really good. That looks really good. I wish I had that much room to work in. Because clearly I don't. Right now, anyway. So, I like it. Okay. I had some other pictures sent too. I'm going to show you. Robert says nice. Dave Tyson says nice. Yeah, it's nice to see them get to that point. It's one thing that we tend to see these cars as like here. You got gray primer, pieces and parts, and you start losing motivation. Let's say you're like, oh man, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, and eventually you get them to the point where it's all assembled, and it just looks so much better to see everything put together. Black GTX says that looks great, Rusty. And Marcus Frisk looks good. Steve, what is the best way to send you pictures? Use my email. So at the bottom of the screen, there's my email, joedaddysgarage@gmail.com. That's the best way to send me pictures. Okay, hold on a second. Let me finish this up. I got something else from Rick. It says, Matt, nice Rusty, what color is that? And I don't know what the specific color would be. He says it changes color in the sun. So he'll probably give us some information here in just a second. Let us know what the color is. David, what a beautiful car. Yes, I agree. Faith Follower says, looks great, Rusty. Yes, it does. All right. So let me go back to, let me pull this picture down real quick. And I'm going to go to the comments, and Rick has a question. I purchased a core support to hood seal from NPD. It came with staples. How are you supposed to apply them to properly secure the hood seal? That's a good question. Now, the factory ones, from what I have seen, they had holes in the core support, and those staples went through and bent over just like a regular staple. If your core support's been replaced, it's probably not going to have those holes. So then you have to figure out, what do I need to do? The tricky part would be drilling new holes and having them line up with the dimensions of that staple. I don't know how the factory put the holes in. I don't know what they used. I don't know if they drilled holes. I have no idea. I have not seen anybody do that. I do know when I did I think it was on the 65 light blue car, the water deflector, let's say, that goes inside of the fender well, those are also stapled on. And I ended up replacing the rubber piece and used the staples to put it back together. And I know I took a tiny drill, a little tiny drill, and I drilled holes to make those staples work. But I don't remember exactly how I did it. I don't remember if there were holes already in the plastic piece or whatever. Looking back, I don't know. I don't remember. I may have shown that in a video, actually, of me doing that. And at the time, I tried talking the owner into buying just new pieces, and he said, no, we'll save the metal part and just redo the plastic, which was, it was up to him. So, I don't know if there's an easy way to make that happen. You know, if you could get the dimensions of the staple, make a little template. I know when I worked at Delta, we would take we would make a little template, like a stainless steel template, drill our holes to the dimensions, make sure like something like that staple would fit through those holes, and then clamp that down and drill through the rubber piece and the core support at the same time. So might look at it from that angle. So good question, Rick. Matt, okay, we go back to Rusty is answering the question. It is supposed to be twilight turquoise, but it's quite a bit darker, but has a green pearl that looks turquoise in the sun. Okay. Twilight turquoise. I don't know if that's an original color or not, or where you can tell us where that color came from, maybe. Orange Grade, I've referenced Robert's video on removing the lead and welds from the sail panel and prep to install a full left rear quarter. I would like to re-lead the sail panel. What are your thoughts? I've never worked with lead. Now, with that said, I wouldn't mind one day trying it. I have heard there are alternative metals that are similar to that lead. Same kind of process. You can melt it and push it into that space and refill that area. There's a guy that I follow on Instagram, and he has Apex Metal Restorations. If you look him up, I'm pretty sure it's Apex. I'll put that on the thing. I think I spelled it right. Yeah, Apex Metal Restoration. He does incredible work. I've never seen anybody that can do metal work like this guy. I mean, I can weld junk together. I can grind stuff down. This guy will straighten out dents in a panel. He will reskin stuff. He does tremendous work. But he has recently done some work with lead. And I was watching what he was doing, and although I can't say that it doesn't seem complicated. I just don't know. I haven't tried it, so I don't know. Now, these other materials that are out there, I haven't tried any of that stuff, but I've heard other people have used this alternative compound metal that you can do the same sort of thing with. So it's up to you on that one. But I mean, if you feel comfortable with it. Now, if you're just doing a quarter panel, like if you're not doing any structural work, you don't really need like a frame jig to do a quarter panel. There's nothing going to move when you take that quarter panel loose. Robert's responding to the staple comment. The factory had a big stapler for that and the fender shields. The radiator seal was only on the 6 cylinders. Not sure why though. So, I guess that answers why I haven't seen them on other cars. Now, people may have added them. Is there a benefit to adding them? Probably not. I don't know. But if they were only on the 6 cylinders, then it doesn't really matter, I guess. Thank you, Robert. And he also says, in my opinion, nothing wrong with lead, just more tools and a new skill to learn. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, I've watched that guy Apex Metal, and it looks fairly simple, but is it? I don't know. I really don't know. Okay, so 68 says Apex Metal. Got it. Yeah, yeah. Check him out. Just incredible work. I'm telling you, that guy's just. He's recently done a 66 Nova, a Chevy 2 Nova. I've seen him do Camaros. I've seen him do a whole custom, like a 53 drop or chop top 53 Chevy, and he makes all these pieces. That car looks factory. Just amazing. Dave Tyson, Ford must have. Ford must have. Oh, oh, must. Yeah. I'm trying to read that, Dave. He says staple gun had staples on the roof, so they must have had a happy staple gun or something. I don't know. Staples on the roof. So that would have been if it had. I've never seen staples on the roof unless somebody. That could have been something from a vinyl shop or something, where they just decided to staple it on instead of using other stuff. I don't know, because I've never seen staples on a factory roof of any car. Rick says, Robert, where can I get one of those big staplers from? Sounds like another nifty tool to own that I will only need once, but still just nice to buy a new tool. Yeah. Yeah. Orange Grape, the biggest issue is toxicity. Yes. That's a good big word. Robert says probably all scrap by now. All the good heavy tools are old ones. Yeah, talking about the stapler. David, in the video you put up last week, parts delivery, you said the roof was damaged. Can you go into that? Yeah, it's not anything bad. Basically, the where the front panel of the roof, where it overlaps the A-pillar post or the windshield post, that corner, it just got rolled in a little bit. I mean, it's really nothing. It is being addressed. I am in contact with the dynacorn dealer, and we're trying to resolve what we need to do. But it's literally, I could take a rubber mallet and just tap it out, and it would never know the difference. So it's nothing major. It didn't reshape any of the main structure of the roof at all. Just that one corner, just enough, just rolled it a little bit, and it'll straighten out. It won't be an issue. So nothing to worry about. Good question, though. Steve Willett. My 66 had staples holding the vinyl roof down at the edges. Really? Now that I haven't seen it. Now I say that because the only car that I've dealt with of these Mustangs with a vinyl roof was Jade had a vinyl roof originally. So I didn't see any of that on I don't think I saw any evidence of that. So I don't know if they changed something later on, if they got away from that, but maybe it was and somebody just filled them in. I don't know. But there's always something new to learn, right? Okay, so Steve has sent me some pictures. So I'm going to download these. I got something flying around. Something flying around trying to bug me. Let me just... I have some other pictures I want to share too. So, there's something flying around me. Something irritating. I'm going to show you some other pictures while I'm downloading these. So, this was sent to me earlier today, and this was from Mark. He says it's not a Ford, but if you look closely at the interior shot, there is a Ford part in plain sight. I finished the truck in 2019 after inheriting it from my brother when he passed away in 2010. I had a bunch of subtle body mods before having it painted, 63 Chevrolet Laurel Green and Lexus Starfire Pearl. It has a static drop with a flipper axle and a Nova front sub and 2-inch drop spindles. The drivetrain is a mild 454, TH400, and a Mopar 8 3/4 Sure Grip. That's a really nice looking truck. I mean, really nice looking truck. Here's another interior picture. And I've got one more, but I have to remove a couple things from my list of vehicles so I can download some pictures from Steve. I'm not sure what he says. Something Ford inside. I don't know what it may be. I don't see anything specifically that stands out, at least not in the picture I have. Here is the other picture of the engine. That's really clean. Really clean. I love that. There's no wiring showing. Everything's tucked away. Hard to beat that. Hard to beat that look. Okay. Let me go back here a second. Talking about the staples, Steve says maybe unique to the plant. That could be. C&J, you could try using the crown stapler for doing roofs. They are a 1-inch wide staple. It might shoot through the 18 gauge metal. Oh, yeah. It might be a little overkill. Dave Tyson says, yes, Steve. Okay. Talking about the truck. I got that is clean, cool truck, nice, wow, and Black GTX. I use door trim from a Pony interior for my door inserts. Ah, so this is your truck. Nice. You got some good stuff, man. That's gorgeous. Rusty, that's a sweet truck for a Chevy, and Keith says the gas pedal is 40s Ford. I'll take your word for it. I can't tell from the pictures. But that is definitely a nice truck. It says Ed says Ford door panels, question mark. And Steve Willett says Pony door panels. Yeah. Robert, okay, I have a lot of different size staple guns. I'm going to have to see how they hold up against steel. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back to showing you the pictures that Steve has sent me. So, we were talking earlier about his frame jig. And there's the frame jig he created. And that's pretty nice. I could see you have several of the contact points like I used on my jig. That's nice. We've got some other shots here. So there he has the floor pan in, the side pieces, transition panel, rear frame rails. That looks good. And there's a shot of all the independent stuff. There's front frame rails. Another shot looking the other way. And then there's the floor supports and the shiny crossmember piece. Well done, Steve. Well done. I like it. Yeah, I like that a lot. Good job. Um, oh, GTX says it's a low car is the gas pedal. And Dave Tyson says great. Yep. Yeah, I mean that's a really well made frame jig. I like all the contact points. It all makes sense. Yeah, very good, very good. Black GTX is nice frame jig. Yes, I agree. So I have to now remember your name is Mark. I have to connect that. So a lot of times I get somebody using their name on their YouTube page or whatever, and so I have to try to make those connections. I think I do pretty good for the most part, keeping up with names and mostly where people are from and stuff like that. Rusty said, "Well, I'd love to have that frame jig, but I don't know where I would put it." Yeah, that's the thing. That is the thing because it's really well made, you know. But as the problem I have with the space in my shop, I can't store stuff like that. That's why I made the mobile jig so that I could roll it out, get it out of here. It's unfortunate. I wish I had a much bigger space, but that's all I got. So that mobile jig, but it's fantastic. Even if I wanted to, I could take that the mobile jig. I could put a car body on it, and if I had a blaster person to take it to, I could take it to them on that jig, and they could just blast it right there. So I've thought about that before too. Steve says store it under your car. Yeah, yeah. That shouldn't be that should be a short term plan. Short term. Rusty, my paintball only looks so big because my other bay is completely stuffed. Oh, your uh, paint booth is what you're saying. Oh, paint booth. Sorry, only looks so big because my other bay is completely stuffed. Yeah. Well, as I've discussed before, this is a limited space. It's just the way it is, and I have lots and lots of parts here. I think Rick has asked me about this before. How do I keep up with all this stuff? And there's a lot of bagging and tagging. There's a lot of all of these pieces are in this pile belong to this car. All the pieces in this pile belong to this car, and that's kind of how I've been doing things. Now, I know whenever the Cobra Jet is all together, it's going to help a lot because I have all of these primered pieces laying all over the place. I have the car in the back. Um, I have a set of bumpers for the car now. There's bags of this and bags of that. So there's a lot of things that are going to get, once they get on the car, it's going to free up a lot of space. And so I know as I'm talking about this, the fastback project, as we're gonna call it Fangled, is going to be next year. Now, I say that in anticipation of getting the Cobra Jet painted. I'm making good progress on that. I'm getting very close to that. I just hope that I'm not running out of window for my paint opportunity. The weather isn't on my side right now. I mean, it is, but it's going away, and I may end up having to. I've got a location that I could probably rent their spray booth, and it may come down to that. It may come down to putting that car in a professional spray booth to get the paint work done. Because if I don't have that opportunity here, it's not going to matter. I can't spray it unless I have good temperatures. I run into this every time I want to do something, and it's trying to get that balance right to getting materials applied. So if I can if all of that works out and I can get the cover jet painted, of course, it's going to be color sanding and buffing and all that sort of thing. I've got to get the stripes on it, get some of the exterior stuff on it, and then there'll be a sort of I won't necessarily say a purge, but there will be a cleanup of stuff, that everything that goes with that car, get it out of here. Then, depending on how much time I have left for the year, or maybe even part of January, I did want to get the '68 Camaro in here and get the sheet metal work done on it. That was one of my goals, was to try to get that done as well. Whether that happens right now, I don't know. But regardless, the Fastback '68 will be started next year. And I'm not going to say it'll start on January 1st. Just be clear about that. It might be later in January, it might be February, but it's going to be next year. So just keep all that in mind. Robert, I am also scrambling for room too. Having an uncluttered space makes working a lot easier and less hectic. I think a shed built to store some stuff as needed. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've got a shed packed completely full. I occasionally get one or two little things I can put out in that shed, but it's got the bulk of the Camaro sheet metal is in there. The seats for the Camaro are in there. There's parts for this 67 and 72 Chevy trucks that I did years ago. I still have sets of rocker panels out there, and patches for the floor pans, and there's bumpers and stuff. There's all kinds of stuff out in that shed. And then I've actually started putting stuff in my lawnmower shed. Marcus, I have one project and can't keep track of pieces, even with bagging and tagging. Yeah. Well, I guess because, this is what I do all the time, right? So every day, and I mean every day, I'm out here doing something. And that helps me keep track of everything. Because if I were doing this once or twice a week, I might really be lost for where stuff is. But I am literally out here every single day doing something. Rusty, I had the same problem painting mine. My booth was 58 to 60 when I sprayed the clear, and it was hard to lay down without runs. Yeah, I'm hoping, if I can maintain close to 70, I'll be fine. But I just want to make sure everything's got to be right, because I definitely don't want to do it twice. And Mark says, I made a wooden A-frame with casters to store my sheet metal parts. It saved a lot of room in the shop and also kept things from getting banged around. That's a great idea. We used to have, let me think, was there a name for it? At the body shop, we had a rack. We could buy these racks that you could put the hood in, you could put the fenders in, you could put all the stuff in a stack. And it is beneficial. For me, the anticipation is that I don't have stuff here forever. Like, I don't need, because once I have that rack, then I have to, if I don't have something in it, then the rack is still taking up space. It does have its advantages, but it also, in some ways, has a disadvantage at times. But hopefully, once everything again is painted and ready to go, get it all in the car and let it head down the road, as they say. Or Robert, I remember that shed being pretty full when I was there, as in stand at the door and reach in. Yeah, that's it. It's stand at the door. There's a ton of stuff in there. There is a ton of parts in that shed. And like I said, the barn, my little barn out here, I've got the Camaro, I think the Camaro front fenders, the fenders for the 67 Mustang, the two fenders and a door, I think, for the my 69 Mach 1. There's sets of rally wheels in there for a Corvette. There's Mustang wheels. There's just there's just all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. Yeah. Richard, next week on Mustang parts hoarders. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty accurate. You know, I have gotten rid of some stuff. And there's some stuff here that, you know, that bug's got to go. Okay, got him. The I still have a set of spindles, and I know none of it's worth having, more than likely, as far as the suspension. But for a 65 or 6 car, I have 5-lug brake spindles, but I have they're still attached to their towers. You know, the towers are junk, all that sort of thing. But the you know, these spindles, I kept the towers with all that stuff because somebody might want those spindles at some point. I don't have a use for them. At least I don't think I do. I had a friend of mine, he asked me when I cut up that 66 coupe, he wanted the tranny tunnel. So I saved him the tranny tunnel out of it. It's still sitting outside here. He's never taken it. But here's a funny thing about that. I had somebody contact me. They're building or rebuilding a 66. And they're putting in a new tranny cross-member piece. And they're concerned about where that is in the where it connects to the floor support pieces, right? So they contacted me and they said, "Hey, do you have a measurement for this?" And I was like, "Well, I tried to give them a measurement off the 68. Now, the 68 is different because a tranny crossmember is this wide versus the 65 and 6, which is like this wide. There's like an inch difference or something. That's why the floor pans that they sell, dynacorn sells, they will fit a 65 or 6, but the crossmember is a 68, so it has a bigger piece in it. Now, this person had that question, and I was like, you know what? I still have that floor pan piece sitting outside. So I went outside and I flipped it over and took some pictures of it and sent it to him. I said, "Here you go. This is exactly what it is on this 66." So sometimes it's worth it to hang on to junk like that just because you get some measurements, you know, from it. So anyway, Jerry says if you have 16, then drill holes and bend the staples by hand. Okay. So talking about putting staples on the core support. I'm assuming, I don't know if you're saying 16. I don't know what you mean by that. Robert says, reminds me I need 2 hubs. Mine wouldn't hold bearings anymore as they got really hot at some point. You need 2 hubs. Are you leaving it drum brakes? Is that what you're doing? You putting drum brakes on you're leaving it drum brakes on your car? If so, let me know. I have some stuff for you. Okay, so I get it now. Jerry is saying inline 6 because Steve gave me a hint there. So yeah, if you have an inline 6, then drill holes and bend the staples by hand. So there you go. Now I get it. Q1. Hello all. Wonder if I should try that MIG Weld on some broken carburetor bodies. Next project looks exciting, but my favorite is the Cobra Jet. Actually, that's a great question. There was the MIG Weld website or Facebook page, or I'm sorry, on YouTube. Look up MIG Weld on YouTube. Their video they showed was them fixing a carburetor. They fixed a carburetor that was busted. So yeah, have a look at that video and see what they show. So good question. Dutchman's Woodchuck. Hey, Joe Daddy, what's up? Not much. How are you? There's your bell. Richard, I heard NOS Mustang parts. So we're all in the same boat. Yeah. Dutchman, I've been looking on Marketplace at Mustangs, and one was $6,000 for a '66 hardtop. Yeah, there's all kinds of Mustangs on Marketplace. I'll sell you a completely redone '68, already ready to go, turnkey. Yeah, I've got a '68 waiting on you. Robert says the wheel hubs, drum brake hubs, but using later Mustang rotors. Yeah, I don't know what condition these are in, but they're sitting outside the door. They've got spindles and everything on them. Derek says, hi, Barry, everyone. Hope you all are well. I'll give you $100 for that Mustang on Facebook. Yeah, I posted a picture. I don't know if I have it or not. I'll see if I can send this picture to the page here. Yeah. Now, this was something that showed up on another post somewhere, and I just thought it was funny. I post on Facebook. I post I have, how do I put it? An album of what I call just goofy stuff, just funny stuff, or just for fun or whatever. And I'll post all kinds of just oddball stuff on occasion. It's not my regular thing, but this car popped up, and I just thought it was hilarious, because you always see these people that says, "Hey, I'm selling this car. I want this much money, no lowballers. I know what I got. So here's what the car is." Yeah. I know what I got. No lowballers. So Derek says he'll give me $100 for it. It's in Australia, and he says free shipping. Yeah. Ugh. Now, granted, there's actually still a bunch of usable parts on that car. There is. There's a lot of valuable parts on that car. Is it something I'd want to work on? Not really. But there are pieces and parts I can see right there in front of me that add value to that car. I'm not gonna go try to get it though, wherever it's at. I just saw it on another post. The Dutchman, I'm going to check it out tomorrow, but it's 40 miles away. He says it has a 351, I guess, Cleveland in it, but lots of bodywork. So it's a 66 with a 351 Cleveland. Interesting. Definitely not factory. Matt says, how much for Jade? I'm asking 42 for Jade. Asking 42. So that's my opening price, if anybody is interested. Dutchman says it's white in Joliet, Illinois. It's white. Okay. Matt says, saw the Facebook post. Looked like a squatted Mustang. Yeah. Yeah, that thing. I mean, obviously it was sitting somewhere and they tried to pull it out and it just collapsed. Ugh. And you see the quarters are rotted off. But there are still good parts to salvage off of that. Marcus says, you've built worse. Yeah, I have. But I don't want to mess with that one. Dutchman says, lowrider. Yeah, it's a lowrider. Richard Berry bought that yellow Mustang. No. Robert says, floor pan, firewall, and frame rails, and all is good. Yeah. Richard says the fog lights are out of adjustment. Yeah, just slightly. Somebody thought it had a GT grill in it, but no, those fog lights are attached to the bumper. Definitely not a GT grill. The Dutchman says, I love to find a 60 Mustang convertible. Mustang like one I guess I have. Okay. And he says, yes. Harvey, hello, Barry, just arrived. Better late than never. Yeah, better late than never. I'm starting to run out of effort, though. I've been here over an hour, so I'm losing my drive. Dutchman says, take it to Mustang Restoration. They would fix it, cut it, and chop it. Yeah. Yep. Ed, that Mustang just needs an alignment and a wash. Yep. Yeah, buckets of money. Just throw buckets of money at it. Mark says, it looks like it would break in half loading it on a trailer. Yeah, you'd never get that on a trailer. It would definitely be in two pieces. It would definitely be in two pieces. Derek says, maybe we'll see that on another channel, that some proportion got sold via a reputable car dealership as a one-owner clean driver. Yeah. Yeah. Well, well, I'm not going to go down that path. I'm talking about people that are reselling Mustangs in bulk. Nope. Michael says, I need the headlight assembly both sides. Yeah, I think Robert does too. Might have to put up a fight for it. Richard, really fun show tonight. Thank you, Barry. Yeah. Yep, I'm pretty much done. I know Harvey just arrived late, but you can go back and watch the replay. I don't know why my back is like bugging me. Normally it's my voice, which is getting tired, but my back is bugging me tonight. So anyway, I'm going to call it a night. I am, again, working on the next video, and it'll be covering the headlight buckets as seen over here, body work on the front valance, getting it smoothed up, and I'll get those in epoxy and maybe get the first round of high build on those pieces as well, along with the front support bracket that holds the latch and everything in place. Probably have to get all that, do that all at the same time. But that'll be it for tonight. I do plan to be back next week, same deal, 7 o'clock. And I hope everybody has a good weekend and get some work done on your projects. Yeah, I said it. But that'll be it for tonight. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.